Our story begins long before Samson took his first breath. For 40 years, the people lived under the oppression of the Philistines. The people of Israel had turned from God, and the Lord allowed the Philistines to rule over them. Darkness fell across the land, but God, in His mercy, had a plan. In the quiet town of Zorah, among the hills of Dan, a woman wept, barren and broken. She could bear no children. But one day, an angel of the Lord appeared to her and spoke words that would change history.
Though you are barren, you will conceive and bear a son. He shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb. No razor shall touch his head, and he will begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines.
The child was set apart from God from birth. He would be different. Her heart leapt. She ran to her husband. The woman told her husband, Manoah, who fell to his knees and prayed that the angel would return. God heard their prayers. Then the angel came again and confirmed the message.
How shall we raise this child?
And the angel replied,
Let the boy be consecrated. No wine, no unclean thing, for he is set apart.
And in time, their son was born. They named him Samson. As he grew, the Spirit of the Lord stirred within him, and though he looked like any other boy, inside him burned the power of heaven. The promise had begun. Samson grew tall, strong, and fearless. One day in Timnah, he saw a Philistine woman and said to his parents,
Get her for me, she is the one.
His parents were troubled. They were dismayed that he wanted to marry a Philistine, asking,
Must you marry from the Philistines?
But Samson still insisted on marrying her and thought she was the right person for him. His parents did not know that this was from the Lord, and they did not see the bigger picture. God was at work, who was seeking an occasion to confront the Philistines. On the way to Timnah, a lion attacked Samson. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson. With no weapon, no fear, he tore it apart with his bare hands like cloth. The carcass of the lion lay in pieces, a testament to Samson's incredible strength. Days later, when he returned to marry the woman, he turned aside to look at the lion's carcass. In it he saw bees and honey. He scooped some and ate, then shared it with his parents, but told them nothing. At the wedding feast, Samson posed a riddle to the Philistines. He told them,
If you can solve my riddle, I'll give each of you a set of fine linen clothes. But if you can't, then you'll have to give me the same.
And they all agreed in unison.
All right, tell us your riddle.
Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet.
They couldn't solve it. They could not give the answer on the fourth day. So they threatened his wife. They said to Samson's wife to coax her husband into explaining the riddle for them, or they will burn you and your fathers. So she pleaded. She cried. She cried through all 7 days of the feast. So on the 7th day, he finally gave in and told her the answer. And she told them. When they answered the riddle, Samson knew.
If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle.
Burning with anger, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him again. He struck down 30 men, took their clothes, and left the feast. When Samson returned, he found his wife had been given to another, one of his companions who had attended him. He was enraged, and Samson said to them this time, I have a right to get even with the Philistines. He caught 300 foxes, tied them tail to tail with torches, and set them loose in the Philistine fields. Fire swept across vineyards, grain and olive groves. The smell of burning crops filled the air, and the cries of the Philistines echoed as their livelihood went up in flames. So the Philistines retaliated. They burned his wife and her father. Samson vowed revenge.
Since you have done this, I will not stop until I have my vengeance.
He struck down many Philistines, then hid in a cave in the rock of Etam. The Philistines came to Judah. Israelites begged Samson to surrender. He agreed, but made them swear they wouldn't kill him, as they handed him over and led him up from the rock, and he approached Lehi. The Philistines came toward him shouting. But the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. The ropes melted from his arms. He seized a donkey's jawbone and cried out,
With the jawbone of a donkey, I have made donkeys of them. I have killed 1,000 men.
And when he finished speaking, he struck down 1,000 men with nothing but the jawbone of a donkey. Then he threw away the jawbone, and the place was called Ramath-Lehi. He was exhausted, dehydrated. But even a warrior thirsts. Even the strongest fall when thirst comes. The Spirit of God was with him. Samson cried to the Lord,
You have given your servant this great victory. Must I now die of thirst?
Then God opened a hollow place in Lee, and water came out. Samson drank, and his spirit returned, his strength returned, and he revived. Years passed. Samson judged Israel for 20 years. But his heart strayed. In Gaza, he met Delilah. He fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek. The Philistine rulers went to her and said, See if she can lure him into showing her the secret of his great strength and how they can overpower him, so they may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of them will give her 1,100 shekels of silver. So Delilah said to Samson, she asked, she coaxed, she wept. 3 times he lied. 3 times he broke free. But Delilah persisted. Then she looked at him and said,
How can you say you love me when you won't even confide in me?
It was the 3rd time he had made a fool of her, refusing to reveal the secret behind his great strength. Day after day, she kept pressing him, relentlessly, until he was completely worn out, sick to death of her constant pleading. Finally, he gave in. He told her everything.
No razor has touched my head. If my hair is cut, my strength will leave me.
That night, as he slept in her lap, his locks were cut. The Lord had left him. When Delilah realized he had told her the whole truth, she quickly sent word to the rulers of the Philistines.
Come back. This time, he's really told me everything.
He rose to fight, but his strength was gone. They seized him, gouged his eyes, and bound him in bronze chains. The judge of Israel became a slave, but as he ground grain in prison, his hair began to grow. Now the Philistines threw a festival to Dagon, their god. Thousands gathered in the temple. They brought Samson out to entertain them. They thought he was finished, their enemy into their hands, blind, broken, defeated. So they led him out to laugh at him. A boy led him by the hand. Samson whispered,
Place me where I can feel the pillars.
He reached out, felt the stone, and lifted his head. Samson praying,
Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please God, strengthen me just once more, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes.
Now the temple was crowded with men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there, and on the roof were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. After praying, his fingers curled around the pillars. The crowd roared. Samson pushed. Stone cracked. Dust fell. He cried out with all his strength.
Let me die with the Philistines.
Then he pushed with all his might. The temple collapsed. The ground shook, the walls crumbled, and the cries of the Philistines filled the air. In death, Samson killed more enemies than in his life. But more than that, he fulfilled the call spoken before his birth. Samson's story is not just about strength. It's about weakness, failure, repentance, and redemption. Because even in blindness, he saw God again. Even in chains, he reached out to heaven. Even in death, he won. His story isn't about might. It's about mercy. Samson was the strongest man alive, yet he failed. But his failure wasn't the end. Because in his final breath, Samson returned to God. Have you ever felt like your mistakes have disqualified you from God's plan? Maybe your next prayer can be like Samson's. Lord, remember me. One more time. Because Samson teaches us, your greatest failure doesn't have to be your final chapter. If this story moved you, share it. Pass on the hope. Subscribe to follow more journeys of faith, courage, and grace.